Greetings, Algo Artisans. It is Friday. We're going to do a chart wrap up, take a look at the usual suspects, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, maybe a couple other charts, gold, and some forex charts. If we have time, let's jump into the charts right now.
Dump it.
Okay, so Bitcoin is definitely seeing that post-halving lull that we talk about. Halving was on April 20th, so let's throw a line up there on the chart right about here. And price for the last 4 weeks or so has definitely seen the expected downslide that you would normally see. And the question is, how low will it go? Well, if you take a look at the chart very simply, you can see that there is some structure and a little bit of consolidation sitting right here from 53,000 down to about 50,500, right? So there's a good chance price may dip down there in a kind of a panic type situation. It might be the price just is not bullish enough to hold up, and so the market may go down there to grab liquidity. And of course, right below that, you have a lot more in the 48,000-ish range, although it's not so likely the price will go down there. Not to say it won't, it very well could, but 50,000 is probably a pretty strong number for now, and the trajectory of this move does indicate that price is moving at a pace that probably won't punch down there. However, Bitcoin is known to do the unknown, so we don't want to say it's not going to happen. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit and take a look at the price action itself. I can tell you real quick that algo-wise, yes, it's not ready to head up just yet. Price does need to flatten out, and these post-halving doldrums, these lulls, these sideways to down moves usually take 8 to 10 weeks historically. However, there have not been that many halvings, so it's not like we have a huge data set from which we can pull. Okay, so let's jump to a lower time frame. Okay, so here we are on the daily, and here was the halving on the 20th, and price again has just been more or less heading down and consolidating after that. However, we can see that there was a bit of a range created. We've been talking about this range for months now, and it's the range that pretty much started after the ETF announcement. So it's more or less going to look like this. Ranges can be a little subjective. Some people like to use, candle bodies. Some people like to use wicks. The idea here is to have a general idea of what's going on. And at this point, price is still right at the bottom of that range. It's right, it is below 61,000. Looking at some of where these wicks came down to, my preferred way to look at this range is actually right here. So price is just poking out at the bottom of it. Given that subjectivity, I wouldn't be panicking just yet. And I wouldn't panic anyway. Bitcoin was very, very low, not just 8 or 9 months ago. It's gone up tremendously. I think it bottomed out at 15,000. I mean, we're sitting here at 60,000. It's, times 4 from last year. So, a move down to like the 50s is not catastrophic at all. This is an expected pullback. When you have price go up times 4, times 5 in such a short time, these pullbacks are healthy. You even want to see them. If price went straight up with no pullbacks, then eventually when the bear market comes around, there's no floor to protect price, and price is going to spend more time filling in that area that it never stopped to gather some steam on the way up. So that's just the way things work. Let me diagram that out just so you all can understand that concept. Price goes up like this with no real pullbacks. It's going to come down, chances are, back to these levels where it never filled in any of that during the bear. But if you have a more controlled move up where price comes down, fills in some of this area, and then goes up, then when the bear market hits, it might only go to here, or it might only go to here, instead of going all the way back down. So building a floor is a healthy thing, and we're seeing a pullback that is a little overdue, if you ask me. Obviously, the ETF, you have all these asset managers buying Bitcoin, massive catalyst. Obviously, that's going to push price up quite a bit more. In the meantime, though, we're seeing, again, what I think to be a healthy pullback, and the levels where price could go are going to be to retest this 56.5 and possibly down to 53, like we talked about. Algo-wise, price does look like it wants to head down, but it may head down in a slower manner, right? There is a bit of support right where price is, and also algorithmically. So price may continue to go like this and possibly head down. Of course, the longer price moves sideways, the higher the chance is that it doesn't head down. But if price, breaks down sooner, obviously that's going to make more sense. If price hits sideways, then all the bearishness might get worn out and the bull market resumes and price doesn't head down there. But we're talking about several weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before I think price would normally head back up. Again, this is all based on history, and there's not a ton of history. So the best thing we can do is pay attention to the algos and the price action and see what they're telling us. And for the moment, it looks like price is going to go sideways and possibly break downwards and possibly go down to 53, or at least go down and retest 56. That's my my most likely thesis for the next week or two. But you know what? A lot can happen. Price can easily pop back up and continue to head up. Anything can happen. So based on this thesis, though, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum and see how that might react. So Ethereum, following the prediction that I made 5 days ago, I predicted price would head down, and literally it followed my path. I mean, beautifully. It even followed and hit about a day before I had planned for it to do so. And this range is kind of this broader range that you see. It's kind of like this stretched out, stepped down version of the Bitcoin range, because Ethereum has not been keeping pace with Bitcoin, where Bitcoin has been ranging sideways since this period back here, right? That's what Bitcoin's been doing. Ethereum has just been creating these ranges that step lower and lower, and so Ethereum's just not keeping up with Bitcoin, and that is not a problem. Ethereum does have some things that it needs to fix, I think, before it's going to see more adoption, or before it can actually compete with something like Solana. Solana seems to be taking and eating Ethereum's lunch on this bull market. However, Ethereum has done great. The move up that it made from early February, all the way up until that early March, that was monumental. This move up was just fire. I don't think there were too many cryptos that had that kind of chart action. However, if we look back to last year, it bottomed out at 870, and again, you hit another low at 1,000. So pretty remarkable. It made its way up to 4,200. So that's a times 6 or times 5 really from that low last year. So it's done beautifully. And again, we're seeing a retracement. Right now, it's pretty clear where price could go. Price could, and I think will break below, and it will at least test 2,700. I think price is very likely test 2,700, and then as it does this, depending on Bitcoin, it may continue down, and I think it's likely to test maybe 2,500. Those are some likely areas for price to go over the next week or two or three. Might happen sooner than what I just drew. I would imagine whatever happens like next week or two. But again, that's going to depend greatly on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin were to start moving up instead of moving down, as per the thesis that we looked at earlier, then I think Ethereum would flatten out or move up. Let's take a brief look at Solana. Solana just pretty much doing what I drew. I'm not going to get too deep into this. It's either, in my opinion, going to go sideways in this range between 119 and 160, or it might pop up and range between maybe 160 and its high here of 200. That's not its all-time high, but that is its local high, which was actually at 210. That's it. That's all I got for Solana, and I think we're going to move over to precious metals and we'll probably stick with gold today. Gold looking bullish. I did look at this in depth in the private show today, but I will go ahead and show you some upside targets that I'm interested in. In the case that gold does break upward, for the moment it is looking bullish. The question is, will it be able to break above 2,400? Now, price could simply decide to range sideways right now, or it could move up to test this 2,400, and what it does at that time is going to be very telling as far as the precious metals market and really the entire economy. And if price does break above, whether it is sooner or later, my two targets for upside are going to be 2,500 and 2,600. Those are nice even numbers. If I were trading and going long, I probably would pull out my profit before, say, like 2,490 and 2,590. I'd front run those numbers because they are so evenly rounded numbers. Everybody's going to want to sell at that time. Definitely a good look on gold. And again, the high time frame is pretty bullish, and the algos are bullish. Daily is bullish against resistance, which is why I'm thinking price may just range. But again, it might be so bullish it pushes right through. So let's take a look at USDJPY. And again, I've been paying attention to this because of the geopolitical aspect. We have Japan that is no longer on infinite QE. They're not going to necessarily play the game that the West wants them to play. At least that is my assumption. So I will redraw this bearish ascending triangle that we talked about earlier this week. And we're not seeing anything terribly different. We're just seeing price breaking above and then coming down to retest that prior high and then possibly bouncing right back up. So this is definitely to be expected whenever you see this kind of breakout. And if the Bank of Japan was not able to keep price from going up, if they were not able to protect yen in the short term, they may very well be able to in the long term. But if the short term is not possible, there are two targets. One of them already met, and that was at 158.74, and the next target up would be 167 yen to the US dollar. So those are the two targets I would look at. So this has been a quick look as far as some charts for the week, just a review of what's been happening in the market. I'm going to read off briefly before we end the video a testimonial from Diane, one of our longtime clients. Here's what she says. I've been following you around since 2017, 2018. Rogue Money, Watch Us Trade, Chart Snipers, and I've been lurking in the background. Things are finally coming together for me these days, putting in the work, back testing the whole deal. This is a very direct and decisive course you've put together here. It just gives me a lot of confidence. Well, thank you, Diane, for the kind words. I hope this information was helpful. We're going to try to put out a video tomorrow as well. I may cover a specific crypto, or if you do have any requests that you want me to cover, something, say it's something basic about trading, or it's just, anything to do with this subject. It doesn't have to be charts. It doesn't have to be specifically algo related. Just go ahead and ask in the comments. I'll be happy to do it. Or you can come over to algofactory.tech. You can hit the contact us on the website and ask your question there as well. Again, that's algofactory.tech. Come on over, trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you on the next one.